Buongiorno, everybody, and hello from Noto, Sicily, where I'm here with
Andrew. First time in Noto, because I'd never heard of it before.
a lot of you know Noto from the White Lotus, maybe, because that is where a part of it was filmed. Or if you're into the chef's table, they did have a Granita place, which we're going to go to in a minute or two, that apparently has the best Granita around, although that's a little bit debatable. So
Yeah, the one in Termino was pretty dang good.
it was pretty good. So we just ate at a place that I had never eaten at before, and it's called Cantina Modica, and they call it Cantina con Cucina, which means a wine cellar with food, and that appealed to Andrew.
Yes, because it had both wine and food.
So at the end of our wonderful meal, I had pasta with a pistachio sauce, and what did you have?
I had a ricotta ravioli with a sausage in a sauce, and that was one of the best sauces I've had, and I've been in Sicily now for 10 days.
Yeah, it was like a really smoky looking red sauce.
Yeah, it was just not your typical.
Yeah, so Sicilian food is really great. And at the end of lunch, after we'd had our coffee, the waiter said, "Hey, by the way, we have a museum upstairs. Do you want to go look?" And we're like,
Museum? What's this?
sure. So we are up just on Via Nicolacci near the Palazzo Nicolacci, and we're going to take a little lap through this little mini museum that comes with your lunch. So let's go and take a look, huh?
All right, cool. Andiamo.
So Noto is very famous for the architecture of its buildings. This is the cupola of the Cathedral of Noto that's actually virtually new. It's a reconstruction because their dome broke and fell in the 90s. But here we have this fun little palace that's on top of a restaurant. So the family that owned this, apparently, it looks like the mother of whoever owns it now, the Modica family, must have lived here.
Fancy camera, cool.
Yeah, we've got some period costumes.
What I love is the old, kind of the old postcards, the old ads for these different places. Felixir Alpino.
Amaro Tripoli. Now we're talking for me. I like the Amaro. Yeah, they're all old liquor labels.
Yeah.
So billiards table, which apparently was very popular in the 19th century with Sicilians. And we have on the floor these beautiful, which I love, these beautiful tiles. The typical Sicilian tiles, which are all hand painted. Some of these look like replicas, but this is really the sign of a true Sicilian palace. And look at this teeny little reception room with beautiful frescoes. Yeah, I've told a lot of people on these tours that, you never know what's inside. From the outside, it could look like a very humble place, and on the inside, it's not. So
I think it's just a cute little place to eat and have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
It's like all of this.
Yeah. Oh, we've got some finery over here. Andrew, I think you'd look good in the long coat and top hat look.
This would be perfect for the 86-degree weather. I'll make it slip into it right now, but I wouldn't mind a cane. That would be actually nice.
Yeah.
Look at this. More tapestry.
So it seems that this must be the owner of this palace, who is, I would assume, not with us anymore, but her family must still own it. And this Modica family owns a winery, and so we had some of their...
we went to today, I believe.
Oh, I don't know about that. Oh, over here we have a hansom cab, I think that's called. So this is how the women were transported individually through the streets. They put poles down here, and then you'd sit in there and get carried on the shoulders of people. Men too. Oh, wow, look at all the... Yeah, accounts and things and maps. This is like the office of the family, I guess. Oh, and a wig. Nice. And if you come out here through the window, you can see where we are. This is the Palazzo Nicolacci, which is one of the palaces that's included in the combo ticket here in Noto. And we just went through there. Look how beautiful the carvings on the balconies are. And they have those funny metal, poofy metal things for the skirts, because women would come out and sit on those balconies in their crenolines and chat with their friends living across the street. This is also, if you look down here, where they have the Infiorata di Noto, where they do flower art on the streets in May. So this is one of the big sites of Noto, is the Palazzo Nicolacci. So this is like a baby Palazzo Nicolacci, right?
Yeah, lots of old maps. Looks like there's a map of this actual palazzo there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and some family pottery.
Yeah, and some looks like an older stone sculpture.
Yep. So this is what's so fun about Sicily is you just never know what you're going to find, you know. We have lunch and then we get invited to go and tour somebody's palace.
Yeah, it's just totally open to just whatever you're sitting down for lunch, and that's it. You get invited up. That's the special touch. That's the secret sauce.
So we're going to have more secret sauce here in a minute because I have challenged Andrew to try what they say is the best Granita in Sicily. I think there's a lot of good Granita places in Sicily, but I'm going to go try, I think, a mandola, but we'll see. What do you want?
I probably want the same thing, but I'll try something else so we can kind of compare and contrast.
All right, so come with us. We're going to go have a Granita because on a hot Sicilian day, that's what you do. So, andiamo. So here we are now going through our restaurant that we ate at. This looks like family portraits down in the bathrooms and all that. Grazie. Buona giornata. And here's the main dining room where we just had a wonderful lunch. Portraits of the family. Oh, yeah, you should have asked for the crushed chili pepper. Yeah. And then we have some of the architecture here that Noto is well known for, which is Baroque style. And the Palazzo Nicolacci. And over here, the Palazzo Modica Nicolacci. All right, so we're going to head down here. Down at the end of the street here is that Cafe Sicilia where we're going to try our Granita. So far, Andrew's been with me for, a week and a half or so here in Sicily. And I'm going to be very curious about what he thinks about Sicily.
Well, I mean, as I was mentioning during lunch, it seems like its own country. I can't believe I'm on one island seeing all this stuff.
And does it seem like Italy? That's the question.
Some places do. Like this place is more like Italy than some of the places in Sicily. Some of the places in Sicily, I really would not know I'm in Italy if I was dropped in blindfolded.
Oh, watch out, Vespa.
Okay, Vespa, but it's only going like 10K an hour, so it's like not too hard to miss that one.
Yeah.
No, okay, we usually go to Italy in different regions, and this seems as diverse or more diverse than any region I've been to in Italy. And it's all just on one island.
Yeah.
And there's, 3 or 4 more places, the main places we're going to go to visit in these 2 weeks, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I get it. Like, I mean, I understood Sicily must be pretty awesome if you come here all the time and you might want to settle here at some point, but you don't. It's like Mount Etna. You have no concept of how grand and big and just amazing it is until you set foot on that sand and you ride up in those massive things. I mean, everything is so different than what I had in my head, and I think that's the kind of place I like to go. Is like, wow, okay, this is not at all what I was thinking. Or I was thinking this, but this is like 10 times more than what I thought.
Well, that's quite an endorsement if there ever was one. And I have been telling people for more than a decade, Sicily is where it's at, especially if you love Italy. So I think it's time to really seal the deal with Andrew and make him go eat a Granita. So let's go have a seat.
Yeah, I think if I get the Granita, I'm buying an apartment next week.
So we are on the main street here in Noto, and one of the main things you do here in Noto is to enjoy the Baroque architecture. And if you look up here, you can see one of their beautiful churches that you can climb to the top of, and you can see the roof. And this is San Carlo, the Campanile di San Carlo. You can go up to the top and see over the city of Noto. The street that we were just walking down, Via Nicolacci, has the palace. It has that cantina and restaurant. And you can see these sort of white outlines on the pavement. This is for the Infiorata di Noto, where they fill in these outlines with flower petals. And they make this an incredible carpet of beautiful color in May every year. So for now, heading in the direction of the Palazzo di Cezio, which is over there. That's their city hall. Andrew is waiting to sit down and grab us a quick Granita. All right, Andrew, what's on the menu?
Well, I guess I'm only looking at...
Fuori menu, we've got pesca, we've got peach, we've got
chocolate.
lots of pastries, drinks, yep, special gelato. So we're gonna have to decide quick because we're on a timeline here, but let's have a try. So Noto is really the architect's dream come true, and if you know me, you know I'm an architect. I think I remember studying about Noto in the 90s in university as one of the most famous Baroque cities in the world because it's like a planned community. This entire city was destroyed at the end of the 1600s in a massive earthquake that destroyed almost all of southeast Sicily. So the entirety of this part of Sicily needed to be rebuilt. When they rebuilt it, how did they rebuild it? Well, not the way it used to be. In fact, the city of Noto, they moved the entire thing. It's not where it used to be. So this is a brand new town. And when they did that, they used the style of the moment, which was Baroque. Now, if you kind of think about the Baroque architects and architecture, you're talking about 1600s, 1700s into the early 1800s. Most popular, of course, in Rome. If you go into Germany, you're going to hear about it as Rococo. So it's kind of like architecture plus opera. You're going to have lots of interesting movement on your facade. You're going to have lots of different optical illusions. And here in Noto, the architects went pretty crazy, having a good time, coming to the ultimate expression of Baroque architecture. But above all, what they invented was a planned city. We have the main street that I was just walking down with the cathedral on it. We have the city hall right here. All these kinds of cafes, and then little side streets with homes running up and down with the palaces. It makes a lot of sense, and it was one of the first cities that was built in that era to use like a modern city planning technique. And that's part of what makes Noto fun, but also because most of these buildings, like this one here, the Palazzo Ducezio, were built at the same time with the same materials, with the same architects. What that does is it creates a homogeneity, I guess you could say, a sameness. Everything kind of feels the same. And that's the reason you like it, is because it coordinates. It's much like Paris. Paris was redesigned in the 19th century, and it was rebuilt in the same materials with the same style. And that makes our brains go, ooh, I like that, because brains don't like chaos so much. So they've gotten rid of the chaos of typical Italian and Sicilian cities, and in its place, they have a uniform architectural style, building height. The windows are at the similar levels, so you have a lot of characteristics that make our brains go, ooh, I like that. So a lot of people do like Noto. I like Noto, of course, but that's because, you know, Sicily is kind of home to me. So we're going to head back and have a little granita with Andrew, and we'll tell you a little bit more about Noto. Oh, cafe con mandola. All right. What do you have over there, Andrew?
I have the limone, the lemon granita.
All right. Tell us what you think about granita. This is often breakfast, by the way. We're eating it as lunch, dessert.
We had it for
but
breakfast the other day.
yeah.
Good, refreshing. Greatest granita? I don't know. Like, there's a lot of great stuff in Sicily. So I think my head needs to explode in the first bite for me to go to great level.
Yeah.
But very good, and a super people watching spot.
Yeah.
And fast service, which we love when we're running tours.
Yeah, we do.
So yeah, I'm gonna eat it all. It's very good. I don't know.
All right, so just to prove that I've taught you to be a good Sicilian, show me how you use the brioche with my granita.
Oh, yours. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna just kind of rip the head off the top there. Now, up until a few days ago, I'd be like, what would you be doing? What are these folks doing here?
Yeah.
Hold on now. Because you gotta get the cream to find it. There you go. Oops, not making a big mess. Okay, well, I'm just gonna eat it this way. Oh, that one's better. That one is better than the one. But it has cream on it too, so you know it has an advantage. But
Yeah, but it also has the advantage of being what I chose, and this ain't my first rodeo, my friend.
Or sorry, what was that?
Perfect. It's perfect. Yeah. All right. So Andrew gives a thumbs up to the combination of cafe and almond, and the lemon is good, but he
it's refreshing. It's a hot day, so I'll go with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd order that next time.
Yeah. So there you go. That's Cafe Sicilia here in Noto that we are trying out some granita. And we're going to take a little Baroque walk to the end of the street in just a second. So stick around. Hey there. We just finished up our granita at Cafe Sicilia, and now we're walking back to meet our group at the arch, the Royal Arch at the end of the street. So this long axis basically goes from one end of Noto to the other. So nice long straight shot. Now, if you've been to Italy, you know Straight streets are few and far between. So that right there should tell you that Noto is special. What we're going to see in just a second is their cathedral. Now, I told you a little bit about Baroque. Baroque is like the overflowering of the Renaissance, really popular, especially in the Counter-Reformation. As the church tries to invite people back, they decide to spend more money on making beautiful churches and beautiful palaces, and therefore that affects the style in general for everybody. So that's what we have here, Baroque, with lots of curly cues, lots of cutout windows, lots of columns, things like that. But here we had a special problem. So when you see this church, the first thing you're probably going to notice, it's pretty squat. Normally with cathedrals in Italy, they're tall. They want to add space for light, right? Here, they had a big problem because those tall churches crumble. So all throughout southeastern Sicily, what they did is they built platforms like this. That platform is like a foundation. On top of that platform, they built a squat church with gigantic pillars on the inside. Because that was their idea, if there's another earthquake, that church is not going to fall over because it's a lot sturdier. Some of these were definitely over-engineered, such as the Cathedral of Ragusa, which we'll show you another day, way over-engineered. But up to this day, they've stood, except this one hasn't. On the interior, the dome, not so long ago, only about 20, 30 years ago, the dome crumbled and fell inside. So what's special about this one now, you can go into the cathedral and you see an entirely new dome and interior. And if you walk to the end of the street down there, there's a church where they show a video on the collapse and the reconstruction of the dome of the Cathedral of Noto. The other thing I wanted to point out, if you come into this church that's very interesting, is as soon as you walk in that door, there's a cross, and it's made out of the debris of migrant ships from the people who are escaping from Africa to try and emigrate into Europe. The people of Sicily have been very compassionate and gone out and fished people out of the seas and collected the debris of these boats, and they made that into a symbolic cross on the inside of this cathedral. So one last thing I wanted to show you here in Noto is that there is a cloistered nunnery. And I'm going to teach you how to see these in Sicily because there's a lot of nunneries or convents. The problem here in Sicily in the past was that you couldn't really afford to support so many children with dowries. If you had 8 daughters, you couldn't marry them all off. It was too expensive. So many families paid for their daughters to go into convents, and sometimes the convents were very beautiful, such as the one coming up ahead. Now, the one thing you can see that tells you it's a convent are those funny cages on the windows. The cages on the windows were meant for the nuns to see out, but not be seen. So I'm a second daughter. I have an older sister. If I had grown up here in Sicily in, let's say, the 19th century, my family would have saved up money for my sister's dowry, but for me, they'd have saved a little bit of money and paid for me to go into a convent like this, and I'd have never come out. I'd have stayed in my whole life, and really would only have known those walls. I could have come to those windows on the occasion to see my family, but for the most part, it would be about praying, making pastries, which is how a lot of the convents made their money in the past, and maybe service work around the convent, but never to be on the street ever again. And I know that sounds like servitude, that sounds like oppression of women. On the other hand, some days as a single mother, I think that sounds pretty good. Being stuck inside of a building where all you have to do is pray and make pastries, it could be worse. And in fact, for a lot of women back then, the situation would have been worse had they not been sent to the convents. So that's a little bit about the city of Noto. I hope that if you're interested in coming here to learn about the Baroque style, you give it at least 3 or 4 hours, have a nice lunch as we did, and just really soak up the atmosphere. Because as far as architecture goes, the way it speaks to us on a human level, this is a place that you feel humanity. This was not a city that was designed for cars. And as Americans, that's something interesting to learn. How does a city feel that was not designed for cars, but was designed for you? That's what this city was. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you again in Ragusa. Ciao from Sicily.